Good morning, everyone. Honorable Dean Dr. Alka Munjal, Shri Nageshwar Raoji, all the wonderful members of our Apeejay family. It's a pleasure and a delight to be here. Most importantly, of course, all of our wonderful graduating students. When I look upon you, you look too young to be graduating from an MBA college. But I think that is why, because I'm slowly maybe 3 years away from a time where I can be called a young entrepreneur anymore. I think those batons go off to now a new class and a new light which will take India and the world forward. I wanted to talk to you about a few small things which, looking back, when I graduated as an MBA in 2010, wow, that's a long time ago, I wish I had been told then. And I had lots of great mentors. Most of them I did not listen to. The ones who are here can attest to that. But I did get a few pieces of wisdom which I thought I would pass on to. But before that, I have a big question to ask. How many of you are using ChatGPT? Raise your hands. You have an active login, you have tried it, you're using it. Higher, everybody can see. Okay. I would have expected each and every one in this room to have raised their hands. I don't know if you've been tracking. I haven't gotten any sleep, by the way, in the last 2 weeks. I've been spending 6 hours at night fully trying to understand the new world we are now in. For those of you who have been tracking it, in the last 2 weeks, there have been more than 25 game-changing major AI announcements that have happened all across the world. I know it is hyperbole for people to say this is going to change everything, but I think at least this time that might be correct. AI ML is now out the door. I expected it honestly to be out the door maybe 2 to 3 years from now, but with it will come phenomenal opportunities for all of you. The biggest use of this technology, and I heartily recommend each and every one of you dedicate at least a couple of hours a day for the next 2 to 3 months to understand how this works, because it will make you incredibly more productive. And for almost former students of a great college such as this, it will truly act as a force multiplier for you to go out and chase your ambitions, your dreams, and your destiny. A lot of people will be left behind. I expect at least 50 to 100 million people, which is a very large number, all across the world will be out of a job thanks to this in about 4 to 5 years. This will put an incredible amount of duty and responsibility to everyone in this room, and especially you young graduates, to become people who are wealth creators, job creators, and who are community leaders. So as you graduate, I would not only think, and I'm sure your parents would love you to think, I certainly would, about your career, your success, your ambition and goal, but also the impact that you intend to have in the world. How are you going to personally contribute to solving the major problems that are happening? And there are lots. You can go on from climate change to the wars that are going on. But even if you become just an entrepreneur, for-profit, non-profit community, at some point, either now or in any time in your life, that itself will be doing the world a great favor. I want you to take the degree you will be soon awarded with, not as a new license or a new master or a degree or a PhD, but rather an impetus, a push for lifelong learning. I try to practice what I preach, and what I recommend each and every one of you do is at the beginning of the year, have a personal learning calendar. Your lives are going to be very, very busy. You are not going to have time to think about esoteric thoughts. You will have family, jobs, things happening all around you. If you can get this one thing, that learning doesn't happen always by accident. It happens when you think about it, you design it, and you really push it through. So please, each and every one of you, come up with your own calendar of learning. Does anybody have one of these? Personal calendar of learning? Aha, One. Okay. But I do recommend each and every one of you do that, because if you don't have it, if you don't stick to it, if you don't ask from it on a regular level, it's not going to happen. The third thing which I want to talk about is really hard work. Now I know the fact that all of you are here and that you are graduating today means that you have been working hard. And I am very sorry to note and tell you that doesn't stop when you graduate. In fact, you will find that the next years are going to be the most productive years in your life, where you have the physical, mental strength to truly be productive. I look at myself 10 years ago and I look at myself now, and I realize I'm stuck in the middle. My seniors are ultra productive, my juniors are ultra productive. I am somewhere still there in the middle. So you have 10 good years ahead of you to really, really push and do. I know it is now very fashionable to talk about work-life balance and fun and play and all of that, and that is important. But you won't get these years back. As you grow older, as your life gets more responsibility, your ability to put in the hours, your ability to put in the dedication will only become more complicated. The fourth, this is something which I learned early on, and it's helped me stay in great life. Never close the door. Never close the door, if you can help it. Sometimes you have to close the door, I agree. But always keep a door open for your friendships, for your family, for your work, for your teachers, professors, no matter how much you dislike, fight, anything else. You never know how you might change, how they might change, how the world might change. This also, dear graduates, is for your future employers and employees. Please do not ghost them. It's a small world, you will be remembered. A kind email, a sorry I couldn't do this, walk away with dignity and with a good impression. I want to talk a little bit about being professional. When I ask kids in high school, what's a professional? Usually class 8th and class 9th students tell me it means you wear a tie and a suit, or you dress in formal clothes for women. That is merely well-dressed people, that's not a professional. A professional has only two components between an amateur and a professional. The first is constant delivery. An amateur can do great things or do the job once in a while. A professional does it every day without fail, every day regardless of being sick, regardless of being tired, regardless of anything happening in their life. And the second part is integrity. Integrity is a word which is thrown around a lot, and unfortunately in many parts of the world I'm seeing less and less followed. But it's not something you accuse others of, but you try to uphold in yourself. A professional has integrity, and I can tell you, some of the best professionals in the world, and there are a few with us today, even if they go to a room, it's a room full of billionaires and political leaders, they all stand up in respect. And they stand up not just because of the person's professional accomplishments, because they have to bow their head to their great and deep integrity. The next one, I would like you to think about starting your spiritual journey if you haven't. And I mean spiritual, I don't mean religious. And I mean spiritual is really trying to think about who you are, where you exist in the world, and how is your life coming around you. The question, who am I? How many of you know who you are? You know who you are? One, great. Anyone else? Well, I'm glad. Most people say, yes, I know who am I? My name is so-and-so. That's not enough. What is your purpose? How do you fit into the world? These are the great questions that are deeply integrated in us. And you don't have to have answers. I don't think I have the answers yet either. I hope some people in the audience have the answers. But the great part and happiness of life is that you get to spend a lifetime figuring it out. And the earlier you start, I think the more joy you will get out of it. Take a moment once in a while to step back and reflect. I don't do this often enough. And every time I do, I always wonder to myself, why don't I do this more often? What does stepping back mean? When you are in life, there is the day-to-day things that are happening. There is asks of you from all across the world, there are expectations, there are a whole bunch of things coming in. At some point, take a physical step back and look at it. Look at what you are doing, look at what others are doing, look at what's happening. Each time you do that, you will find that you learn something new, and you'll find out more about how you think, how you act, and maybe, just maybe, find a better solution to the issues that you're facing.